sustainable friends, welcome back to our YouTube channel. This is a new episode of Green Talk. This is the format brought to you by Sustainable Friends to always bring you new voices of sustainability, because as you know, sustainability is regarding a lot of topics. And so today we deal with a very specific issue regarding the marine ecosystem. But before announcing the topic, I remind you to subscribe to our channel and that you can always pass here in our Sustainable Friends store in the center of Milan. So today we deal with a very important topic to discuss, which is, as I said, a threat to the marine ecosystem. It is ghost gear. And to talk about this topic, we're here in connection with the Global Ghost Gear Initiative. And specifically, we're here with Joel Baziuk. So thank you so much, Joel, for taking part in this interview.
Thanks for having me.
So, Joel, you're the Associate Director, in particular, of the GGGI. And I wanted to ask you, because maybe some people don't know actually what ghost gear means. What is the definition? Why it's a problem? And also, what is the scope of it? So where do we stand right now with this issue?
It's a great question, yeah, because not everyone is familiar with it. It's one of those things that happens more in an unseen way. Most people don't see it beneath the surface of the water, washing up on beaches, but fishing gear that becomes lost during the course of normal operations and is no longer under the control of the fisher. And because it is designed to capture marine life, it does so very well, whether it's under the control of the fisher or not. So it can contribute to what's called ghost fishing, where that gear will continue to entangle animals over time, whether they're target species or whether they're marine mammals, whatever it might be. And it's sort of a cyclic thing. It's a self-baiting type of a gear. Depending on the gear type, it can have quite a significant impact in the marine environment. And it is pound for pound the most harmful form of marine debris because it's purpose-built to capture marine life. But in terms of the scope and the scale, there have been some studies to try to figure out exactly how much gear is out there, but we're not at a universally number yet. What we can say is that there is some amount of gear loss wherever fishing takes place, and that we find it wherever we go.
So regarding the initiative, the GGGI, can you explain to us the story of how it was founded and also what you do concretely to tackle this problem?
So it was founded in 2015, so we're celebrating our 10-year anniversary this year. And the goal of the GGGI was really to bring together organizations from around the world that were working on this topic, but in different ways, all together around the same table, in a cohesive and coordinated way to make sure everybody could maximize their impact. So we're a collective impact alliance of 155 member organizations around the world, ranging from NGOs, some of them are very, very small, but doing amazing work on the ground, all the way through to massive global corporates, the seafood industry, fishing organizations and collectives, technology companies, academia, governments. We really try to bring everyone around the table to try to tackle this problem as holistically as possible, because everyone has a different perspective, but everyone has a place at the table. And we really focus our work on three main pillars. The first one is prevention, so stopping gear from getting lost in the first place. The second is mitigation, so minimizing its impacts when it inevitably does get lost. And the third is remediation or recovery, where we try to do targeted removal efforts in critically sensitive habitats where it makes the most sense to do so. So again, we work across all different angles, trying to pull on all the different levers there are, from the policy space to people on the ground trying to pull gear out of the water, doing predictive modeling, trying to figure out where gear might be lost, working with partners all over the world to leverage their expertise in the collective to make sure we can have maximum impact.
So can you give us a concrete example of one of the projects that you have developed?
Sure. So we have our North American Net Collection Initiative, which is taking place primarily in Mexico at the moment, but we're looking to expand it to other regions as well. And really, it implements most of the GGGI's quote-unquote project blueprint, where we take all of these different elements and we put them together into one project. So we'll have a lot of fisher interviews and workshops, trying to learn directly from them what is going on the ground, what are the main causes of gear loss, because we understand nobody wants to lose their fishing gear. You don't see people throwing their tools in the water on purpose. That's not what's happening. So we want to understand what are the key drivers of gear loss, so we know what are the best ways to prevent it. So initially starting there, trying to gather that information, looking at what data has been collected on gear loss and where that is, doing some predictive modeling. We've done predictive modeling along all of the coasts of Mexico on the Pacific and the Atlantic side, trying to take that information and extrapolate it and try to understand what the key causes are so that when we're looking for solutions, we can take that into consideration. And then also looking for options for end-of-life gear disposal. We find that often when there is no viable pathway for that gear at the end of its life, and it can often be difficult to deal with at the end of its life, it can end up disposed of either in a landfill or, in worst case scenario, in the ocean where there are no other options available. So looking at trying to create a recycling program from that is a big part of the Nancy project, working with our local partners on the ground, but also doing some removal in sensitive habitats, turtle nesting beaches, things like that, testing new technologies, gear marking buoys, tracking buoys, so that fishers can understand where their gear is, and if it moves from where it was set for any reason, then they know that they can go and find it. And of course, working with our policy, Mexico is a member government, and working with the government to try to understand how to implement some of these procedures at the national level and into national policy in a way that makes sense for their industry, in a way that makes sense for their country. And so, yeah, we're sort of bringing all of those pieces together to try to work from all angles to solve a very complex issue.
So we can say you are doing a lot on the field, so congratulations on all of your work. But also outside the field, because as we also know, because we know we do a lot of informative activity, it's important also to raise awareness on this topic. And you do so through, for example, the creation of reports, data. So I want to ask you, so based on your experience, what is the current awareness of the issue? Do you think that it has increased over the years, or maybe there are still some issues that people don't know about, some misconceptions maybe?
Really increased over the last few years, especially. I think, especially in the academic space, there's been a lot more research done, a lot more targeted research done on the topic, especially over the last 5 years, that I would say, 5 to 6 years. I think that's a great sign, but there's still a lot more to be done, and it's good that the topic is getting the focus that it deserves. And for example, at the INC negotiations for the plastics treaty, ghost gear is something we've been advocating for quite heavily to be included in that treaty as a very specific piece of that puzzle, because it's not the same, it doesn't have the same causes, doesn't have the same pathways as other forms of marine plastic waste. So it needs to be addressed holistically. So we're trying to address it through that as well. I think that the fact that it is included in the current draft treaty text, it speaks to the fact that it is becoming a lot more well-known and a lot better understood from national governments, but also the general public around the world. But I think there is still a lack of understanding. And one of the things that I'd like to clarify as well is just that nobody wants to lose their gear. No fisher wants to lose their gear. And I think it's common when you see a picture of what the impact can be, especially on marine life, people can have a very visceral reaction to that. And that's understandable. Nobody wants to see that. It is a reality. It can happen. But the causes for it are quite complex. And this isn't generally speaking fishers throwing gear over the side of their boat. This is about gear snags beneath the surface, about rough weather that they can't avoid. It's about even other marine traffic cutting it loose by driving over it, not realizing what the buoys are for. Nobody wants to lose that gear. So we involve fishers on the ground in all of our projects in some way, shape, or form as part of the solution. They're the ones who know where it is. They're the ones who know what the causes are. They're the ones who know how to prevent it. And in many cases, they're already doing that. So we're trying to augment those efforts as best we can. But I think it's important that people realize this isn't something that's intentional. Fishers aren't a villain in this story, and they're trying to feed their own families as well as billions of people around the world who rely on seafood as their primary source of protein. So it's not about stopping fishing. It's about trying to find ways to do it better and to help the industry improve so that there are more resources and more healthy ecosystems overall for themselves and for generations in the future.
Yeah, we completely agree with this reasoning, actually. And it's very important to remark this because I think that the general public has this conception, actually. And as you know, with Friend of the Sea, we also want to regulate fishing in a more sustainable way. So we're also very attentive to this topic of the ghost gear. So to end, can I ask a personal question? So how did you become involved with this initiative, and what does your work mean to you?
I worked for 20 years in Canada's commercial fishing industry for Steveston Harbour Authority, which is the largest commercial fishing harbour in Canada. I was the operations supervisor there, and I created a net recycling program in Canada, the first of its kind in 2014, the year before the initiative launched. And I didn't know anything about ghost gear before that, but I knew a lot about the industry and what some of these causes were. And so I was invited to speak at the inaugural meeting in 2015 and just sort of fell in love with the people that were there and the work that was being done and the topic at hand, and saw that I had something to contribute. So I was fortunate enough to be able to pivot my career path in 2017 to join the GGGI, and I've been with it ever since, trying to make sure that, again, there's more people understand the topic and are more sympathetic to the realities that are out there, and that everyone's trying to solve this problem because it's in everyone's best interest to do so. And I think that's really what drives me, is working with people that really want to solve a problem, and there's no real villain in the story. This is just about trying to find ways to do things better.
Perfect. It's a very beautiful message. Thank you so much. Thank you so much for this interview, Joel. And we want everyone that is watching to go follow your channels of the initiative. So we ask you to remind people how to see your channels or your contacts, and also how to participate.
So you can visit our website, is probably the best way to get in touch and to learn more. It's at www.ghostgear.org. There you can find more information about our projects, our members, our partners, our data portal if you're interested in providing data or if you have data to submit, and also information on how to become a member if you're an organization who's working on this topic, no matter where you are. You can find links to contact us and find out how to become a member there. And yeah, we would encourage anyone to do so if you're interested.
Thank you. Thank you so much. We say bye to everyone who's watching. Thank you. Bye-bye.